Hi, Florian. My name is Ellen. I'll be correcting this essay for you. Let's take a look at what you've done here. I know you said you haven't taken IELTS before, so let's see how we can help you prepare, okay? It looks like this is the essay about ex-prisoners, so let's see what you wrote. How to prevent adolescents from crime is a controversial topic among certain demographics of society. One view is that former prisoners who became respectable persons are the most suitable to talk to young people about the risks of being a criminal. This essay will argue why people who served a sentence in prison are well suited to elucidate about the dangers of being a criminal. Okay. Yes, it's fine. I think you did a nice job here. Let's see. A couple of things. We don't really use the word persons anymore. It's typically just people. So you might want to replace that in order to make it sound more natural. Are the most so are the most suitable people. So get rid of this too. I don't know why you have that there. And then let's see. A couple of things here. Not elucidate about. That felt a little unnatural. I think we usually say elucidate the dangers, but even elucidate, I'm not really sure. It's kind of like you're trying to throw in a really nice word, and it is a nice word. I agree with you. But sometimes these kind of higher level words, they don't work exactly the way we want them to. So it's often better to use maybe a simpler word, but to be absolutely certain that you're using it precisely and accurately. Okay, so let's see here. You said former prisoners, respectable, suitable people, and then people who serve. Okay, it's fine. In an ideal world, maybe you would have used a word like ex-convicts, but it's totally fine because you explained which people you were talking about, people who served a sentence in prison. And that's accurate vocabulary. It's precise, so no problems. All right, let's keep going. On the one hand, former crime offenders experience the life in prison. Thus, they face problems and dangers of being incarcerated, which means they are more credible when they talk, not when they are taught, when they talk about prison compared to people who have never been there. It is always another thing when someone explains about, when someone explains it without experience as when he experienced it on his own. All right, there's something going on here with the grammar. I know what you're trying to do. It is always another thing. Yeah, this kind of feels a little conversational. Um, but not only that, it's just a little awkward and not entirely accurate. So maybe you could have replaced it with something that felt a little more appropriate to this kind of essay. Let's see. Which means they're more credible when they talk about prison compared to people who've never been there. It is always another thing when someone explains it without experience as when he experienced it on his own. All right, I'm just reading it aloud again to see if maybe I can come up with something that would suit this better. How about this? Learning from someone who has not experienced something cannot compare to hearing firsthand from someone who has gone through something like prison. So something like that. I know it's a little awkward and I'm just kind of saying it orally, kind of off the top of my head rather than writing it down. But this is kind of what I think you wanted to say here. All right, let's see. This is exemplified by the fact that former soldiers are often more aware of a new war than other people. Thus, they can explain possible risks and negative effects of prison and criminality in a more realistic way, which could be an enrichment to prevent young people from criminal activities. All right, I don't totally get this. Like, I don't understand your example. And then when you talked about they, who are the they you are talking about? Is it the ex-prisoners or is it the soldiers? So this, for me, got rather confusing. Okay. I think what would have been better here is rather than, kind of make this comparison with soldiers, you could have actually used an example from ex-prisoners, like, I don't know, like maybe, when an ex-prisoner talks about how it feels to miss the holidays with your family, this really rings more true than if you hear about it from someone who kind of talks about it in a theoretical way, like a police officer, a teacher, or a coach. Okay, so maybe something like that, which is a more relevant example. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Now, I noticed here you did on the one hand, and here you wrote despite that. I want you to know that typically we use on the one hand with its partner on the other hand. They do go together. So when you use one, you're supposed to use the other. Okay? So keep that in mind as well. So why don't we do it? On the other hand, it should be considered that the chilling effect on young people would be more effective when rehabilitated correctional inmates report about prison and its negative consequences. Only former prisoners know the feeling of sitting in a cell 23 hours a day, and they know how dangerous other inmates are. Only they know the truth about the myths of prison. Therefore, adolescents would be more impressed by real life stories from people who experience criminality. Okay. I'm confused here. I don't, you know what I don't understand? I don't understand now this on the one hand and the despite that. Because you're really just arguing one side of the argument here. So essentially, these linking devices were not really used appropriately. All right, and that's something you have to think about because it will affect your coherence and cohesion score. Reading this on the one hand, I expected this paragraph to be about one side of the argument, about why, yeah, they're great people to talk to youngsters. And then I expected this paragraph to be about, why this is a really terrible idea. Okay. But that's not what happened. It felt like the whole essay was about just one side of this argument. So, and that's okay, but you just really have to change these. You could have just said firstly and secondly. That would have been really simple. Okay. All right. But I like this paragraph. It was strong. You used not really complicated language, but it was effective. All right. And it was, I liked it. I liked it. All right. Let's keep going. In conclusion, this essay argues whether former criminals who served a sentence in prison are the most appropriate people to talk, not talking, to teenagers about the risks and dangers of prison. I don't know why you have two preventing them. Let's see. Are the most appropriate people to talk to teenagers about the risks and dangers of prison, comma. Oh, you could have just said to prevent them. Yeah, that would have been fine without the comma, to prevent them from committing a crime. I completely agree with the thesis because of their credibility and possible dissuasive effects, which make, it's two things. So it's which make them able to prevent young people from crime. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I think you're on the right track. I think there are little things that you definitely need to watch out for. But I liked a lot of this, Florian. One of the things I liked is that you talked about repeatedly, let's see, where was it? Here it was. Yeah, here you talked about that they are the most appropriate people. And then here you really hammered this idea home. Only they know, only former prisoners know. So I liked that. I thought that was good. Now, let me give you another suggestion. As you probably read from the prompt, it says that they are the best people. And you definitely referred to this, not entirely throughout the essay, but you did. You know what I wanted? Maybe what would have really been great. Here you did it. You said prisoners talk to people compared to people who have never been there. I remember we said that there was something about the grammar was problematic, but the idea was right. You gave this comparison, and I think that this comparison is really important because if you think about the prompt again, it says the best people. So there is an inherent comparison here. They're almost asking you to compare them. So are they the best people? And if they are the best people, why are they the best? Compared to whom? Okay. And if they are not the best people, who might be the best people? Okay. So there is this kind of invitation to compare, okay? And you can see that based on the word the best. I'm very happy that you did refer to it. That was good. So just a suggestion is maybe you could have developed this idea like, well, they're better than, like I said, police officers, coaches, or something. Maybe you could have just developed that just a little bit. But overall, I'm happy with this essay. Like I said, I think you're on the right track. I'd love to see what you're doing with task one. As you know, I'm sure task one just has a lot of difficult spots as well. So let's see if we can see some task ones from you as well. I look forward to it really. And let's see how we can help you prepare for IELTS. You may want to consider an essay correction package with us. You'll see that there's different, in the email you'll get from us, there'll be links to how you can continue working with us. So see which one suits you best. And let's see how we can help you prepare for IELTS. Okay, good luck.